Well, we're out for a training run. Been locked up with the below zero weather for so long. It got to 12 earlier today, so I said to heck with it, I'm out of here. And now it feels like it's about 16, and this sun is just unbelievable. Whew. I'm about 8 miles in. Went down off of Hawk Ridge all the way down to Leicester and came back up. Feeling pretty good for not actually running except for that one time about 3 or 4 days ago when it was below zero. Feeling pretty strong from all the biking and rowing. I wasn't gonna film, but it's just too beautiful. Maybe we'll just put out a couple minutes short or something, so you guys can enjoy the weather. Lake Superior is mostly froze over, as you can see. But by the end of this week, it's going to get up in the high 30s. And here in Duluth, Minnesota, when that happens, you see all the teenagers walking on the lake walk down along the shoreline, bare-chested. Yeah, that's what happens when you live up here. You get really acclimated to the cold weather. 40 degrees. Feels like being on the beach in Hawaii. This section of the Hawk Ridge Trail goes right along the side of the road, which is right there on my right. Of course, the road is closed in the wintertime. They don't plow a lot of the secondary roads. That's part of the Skyline Parkway, which is basically a massive tourist draw in the summertime. And in the fall, the Hawk Ridge Bird Observatory and Education Center is located off that road. Thousands of people come from around the world to watch the bird migrations. It's incredible. This is all rock normally. It's like Rock Ridge. But this hard-packed snow from the fat tire bikes makes it feel like heaven, compared to, say, the other day when we ran the beach out at Park Point in drifted snow. So I've been running, like I said, probably at least 8 miles I've only seen 3 people today. Still going up. Woohoo! Whoa! Gotta pay attention. In one of my earlier videos, I mentioned this area right here. It is just so pretty. I call it the enchanted forest in the spring and the fall. All the colors and all the vegetation. It's just full of animals. So pretty. I'm going to go up here, across the road, and head north to the next road, which is where I parked. Well, it's going to get up close to 40 and maybe even into the 40s during the next week. And these beautiful trails will turn into nothing but mud and slush. And because they're managed by the city and by COGS, which is a organization I've mentioned before, it stands for Cyclists of Gitchigumi. Because they manage it, as soon as they get soft and mushy, then they're all closed and you can't run them until they dry up again. And that forces all the runners like me out onto the gravel roads or onto the remains of the snowmobile trails. The only way I can describe that is that it sucks. These such beautiful trails. and you can't run them. If it's a really wet spring, they might close them here in the next couple weeks, and I might not run again till the end of June on these trails. It might take them that long to dry up. And I don't have a problem with that in terms of trail management. It's the right thing to do, because there are times on weekends when you have a large group of mountain bikers or trail runners, say, that come to visit Duluth in the spring from down south, one of the bigger cities. And they come up and they find that the trails are all roped off. I don't know what they're thinking, but I know it's probably just that, hey, I drove all the way up here. I don't mind riding in the mud. So my point was, I've seen what happens to these trails after they do that, and they're destroyed after months and months and years of being manicured and maintained. And then what happens? And the city and COGS has to close them for even longer, sometimes all the way into the summer, in order to repair the damage, because they're too dangerous. Nothing but hard bike tire trenches and footprints frozen everywhere. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's pretty much uphill all the way. So just before we get to where I parked, I'd like to comment on some other news. Been a lot of changes in the federal government recently, starting to impact us up here in the frozen north. Story came out today that dozens of Superior National Forest employees were unexpectedly let go. Laid off. No reason. No notice. Not even to the Superior National Forest office. So, I guess my point is, even up here in other parts of the country and the world, where you can get complacent about how little politics affects your life. Even here, suddenly, boom, your friends and neighbors are out of work. I expect a real big uproar though, because like me, very high percentage of people that live in the North Woods and the wilderness and the Boundary Waters area, they depend on the outdoors for their living and for their health. And they're not going to put up with it. Okay, end of that story for now. I'm doing pretty good still, but not having run very much in the last month. Oh, I'm starting to feel it. Calorie wise, I've had enough calories so far. I had an energy bar, maybe 4 gels. A packet of maple syrup and raspberry juice. Just shy of 1,000 milliliters of water. So the body's going. Starting to plan my next wilderness run. I haven't told my wife yet. She doesn't want me doing that anymore. My last wilderness run was a year ago, October. True wilderness, ultra, across the Boundary Waters. Took the Keck route. Ended up doing 46 miles because of beaver flooding, lack of trail, dark sky with no moon, difficult nighttime navigation despite GPS. The ultimate focus run. 21 hours later, I broke out onto a road. And my man Dom, who's a friend of mine that I met on this trail, and he volunteered to crew me on that one. But basically his job was to be on that road to pick me up that night, not knowing exactly how long it would take me to get across the Boundary Waters. We had a meeting, of course, more than one, before D-Day, the day of my run. And I told him that I can't tell you when I'm going to come. Made sure he really wanted to do this. I said I might not even come. Something might go wrong, or I get injured or something and hunker down for the night and come out the next day. He said, oh, I'll be there. And he was. 21 hours later, I came out of the wilderness at 1:30 in the morning. After navigating in the dark through the whole night. The nearest car was the only vehicle dozens of miles around, parked at a trailhead sign. I beat on his window, shined my headlamp into his eyes, and he freaked. Good old Dom. He was so surprised. He was so happy. He just, even before he got his door open or his window down, he was yelling, "This is good, this is good." During our pre-run briefings, I told him that sometimes when I get back, I am just so done and so far gone that I just vomit and lay down and curl up. So he had the back of his Subaru all set up with a bed, which he opened and pointed to. And I shook my head. I said, "No, sit down." And I sat in the passenger seat. Next thing I remember, it was 3 hours later, and we were in my driveway down in Duluth. And Dom and my wife were helping me out of the car. So that was my last ultra run. Ultra wilderness solo, old man. Man in his 70s. Doing crazy shit. So, my wife was so distraught after not hearing anything for so long. I told her I wouldn't do the long ones solo anymore. But that's not going to work because I've been doing this for a long time and regularly. A couple snow machines going by. Been doing this regularly. Since I retired from full-time work, I've been training steady. Of course, I've been running since 1971, trail running. But in terms of serious wilderness ultras, solo, only about 10, 12 years. And over those years, I've run into a lot of nice guys and ladies. Same mindset as Dom, but true trail runners, you know. People that I see humping it up real technical trails and putting in the work, no matter what the weather. I've met dozens of folks like that. And it's obvious when somebody else is training like me for something. So the conversation starts up and they ask me what I'm doing and I tell them what I'm doing. And eventually I said, again, many times, if you're interested in doing a wilderness run like that, let me know. We can do it together. It's a blast, it's exciting, it's challenging. Well, I've never had a single person take me up on it. Not one. So, complying with my wife's desires for me to not do the long ones solo anymore is going to be difficult. So instead of doing 45 or 50 miles, I'm going to propose a 25 or 30 mile wilderness run something that I can control more. Be 99% sure I'll get out at a decent time and have all the right equipment, as always, to survive no matter what happens. And train for that, which is what I'm doing now. Right now my short list is Boundary Waters Canoe Area, Powwow Trail. And another run of the Boundary Waters Snowbank Trail. Depending on the routes you take, these can be 30 miles, a little bit longer, a little bit less. So I'll train for one of those and knock that out. So we're only about a third of a mile or so from the road where I parked, and we're getting ready to start crossing some private property that's owned by one of the local doctors in town. Really nice person. He and his wife have a piece of property down here off the road. In the wintertime, and just before the holidays, they line this section of trail with glass globes with candles in them. It is so incredibly beautiful and festive, especially with the snow glistening all around. Come out and do a night run. Are you kidding me? Those people are so cool. He'll be out here during the spring whacking down invasive species and just working. And his wife, she's something else. They probably have about 3 acres. Uh-oh, look at that. Bigfoot has arrived. Oh my God, look out. Bigfoot's hiding out in Duluth. Oh my God. It's so scary. I'm gonna get out of here. He's not following me. So the doctor's wife, I was saying, she's just unbelievable too, because they got at least 3 or 4 acres of grass out here by the road. And she's out there mowing it, weeding it, pulling brush, keeping up the property. Because the doc's at the hospital whenever he's not out here. Just another example of how great it is. I mean, literally. How great it is to live on the North Shore of Lake Superior, within 120 miles of the Canadian border. Easy people up here. None. Duluth is known as the San Francisco of the Northwest, and that's because most of the city is built on the side of a steep hill that overlooks the lake. And when you walk around, just like in San Francisco, you're humping it up and down hills all day long, whether you're just going to get a bite to eat or going to your hotel or whatever you're doing. It's the same way in Duluth. And so I tell people, there are no lazy people in Duluth. You can't be lazy up here. I see couples in their 80s, each with 2 bags of groceries, humping it up these hills, walking from the grocery store. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Staying in shape. And that brings me all the way back to where I started, with the young people who feel like it's time to take their shirts off and walk in the sun when it's 40 degrees out. It's quite a place. You should come and visit. Well, we're going to break out on the road here. We're still on the Doc's property. It looks like he has some sort of arrangement with Bigfoot where he's allowed him to live on his property for a while, which is cool. Okay, I'm just gonna kick it out a little bit here when we get to the road. Shut down the camera if it's still working. I'll see you on the next one.